All
So
right.
we're on Sukkah's Yud Beis Amud Aleph. So, Ima Chagiga Balechaim Av Sukkah Nami Balechaim. Could you make a sukkah underneath an elephant? You can't. So Chagiga is a live thing. A sukkah is not. So we need another source. Pasuk. Kiyos Rabbi Rav Yechon Amar Kra Be'aspacha Migornecha Migvecha. When you gather from your silos and from your vineyards. Bipsulos Gorim V'Yekav HaKosov Daber. The sediments of a silo, like the wheat chaffs and the branches of the grapes, that you can use for schach. Maybe it means the silo or the vineyard or the wine press. You can't use a wine as schach, because Yaakov usually refers to wine. Maybe it's like dried coagulated wine. Like it becomes like pressed figs. Maybe you could make schach out of that. We had a good answer, and Rabbi Yirmiyah came in and blew it out of the park by saying that maybe it could be wine, and it's not talking about like branches of the wine. So Ravashi Yomer Migornecha v'lo Gornatzmo. The Gornecha means, but not the silo itself. And Miyikvecha v'lo Yekav means not the wine, but the dregs of the wine. And that's how you learn that you have to use schach that's not mekabel tumah and grows from the ground. Rav Chizar Meyachat Tz'u Hahar, go to the mountain. Ve'viu alei zayis v'alei, bring leaves of olive and v'alei hadas v'alei tmor v'alei eitz avois. Lasos sukkos kakasu. So there it's a direct pasuk that tells you what to make the schach out of. Hainu hadas, hainu eitz avois. So Gemara wants to know hadas and eitz avois are the same thing. Amar Chizda, hadas shoyte l'sukkah, that there is a myrtle leaves that don't have a lot of nice leaves. That you can use for the sukkah. It's always with the beautiful 3 triangular leaves. That's lulav. That's for the lulav. Mishnah. Chavile kach v'chavile eitzim v'chavile zra. You have bunches of straw or wood that are tied together. Ein mesachin behem, because they're tied together. But if you undo the tie, kulan shetirum ksheros, then it's kosher. But when they're tied, ksheros l'defanis, you can use them for the walls of the sukkah. Rav Yaakov, Shmamin and Rav Yochanan Tarti. We learn 2 things from Rav Yochanan. Chadaha. One is this halacha, which we're going to see about our Mishnah. The idech, achoytet begadish lasos lesukkah. If you have what is that in a field where a haystack, and you hollow out the inside of a haystack, so the haystack becomes the walls and the schach. Ain't a sukkah. So it's not a sukkah. Why? Chadamishum gzeres oitzer. If you use that, you might think that you can use other things that you keep in your storehouse. That's number 1. The haystack initially wasn't prepared for muchan, for a sukkah. And you didn't do a maisa achana. We didn't know which ones were rejected because of Gzeres Oitzer, and which was rejected because of Tasev Lo Asui. Rav Yirmiyah Nechzi Anan. Let's see. Rav Chiyam Rav Yechon V'nei Mamru Chavilei Kash, the Chavilei Eitzim, the Chavilei Zrodi Sachim. Why did they say that if you have straw bundles tied up, you can't use it for schach? Because Pamim Shodim Bam and Asada Be'erev. Person will come after a hard day's work. The Chavilas Al Ksefon. He has a pack on his shoulders of hay. Umala Minichal Gabi Sukkos Kteli Avsha. He wants to dry it out, so he'll put it on top of the sukkah to dry it out. V'nimlach alel l'sicha. Then he changes his mind and wants to use it for schach. V'ater amr tasev lo menasui. It's got to be prepared initially for schach. Now, midah mishum gzer soitzer. The other one is because of gzer soitzer. This one is mishum tasev lo menasui. However, Rabbi Yaakov had Rabbi Chia bar Ika lo shmiya. He didn't hear that. Pshat. Or Rav Ashi, atu chavile kasher chavile etzim mishum gzer soitzer ik mishum tasev lo menasui leka. The bundles of straw have both gzeras. Gzeras, like straw is kept in a warehouse, and it's also, you didn't prepare it, so it's a psul of tassel and osli. Similarly, if you make a schach, if you make a sukkah out of a haystack, you have both problems, liabilities. However, when we say you can't use it for schach, that's l'chatchila hu dei mesach mishum gzer soitzer. Hadaraisa shap your dami. The Rabbanon make a gzeira that you can't use it. Midaraisa, it's fine, but Hasam, by making a haystack where it says "Ein a sukkah," filu di'evid midaraisa nami ein a sukkah. It's not a sukkah even midaraisa. So it's not just because of gzeres chachamim; it's because of tasev lo mina asli. It wasn't done l'shem sukkah. Let's say you have arrows that were made with a simple stick that was plugged into like a female opening in the arrow part. So if you use the straight sticks, but if you use the implements on the top of an arrow, because that's a kli, in the cave is psula. Now, Zacharim Ksher Pshita, why would I not think that the sticks would be kosher? Maybe it would make us as gzeira. Well, if I can't use the top of the arrow, I can't use the whole arrow. You can use it. It's not, it's made out of metal. It's a kli. We know that it's possible. Maybe I would think that since it has a receptacle to receive the stick, maybe it's not considered a base kibul. It's like a flat piece of wood. Kamash Malon, that it won't work. If you used raw flax, psula. This is not raw. You've processed it a little bit, so it already looks like threads. So since it's like threads, it's like a kli, it's makabel tuma, you can't use it for schach. But on an earlier processing, when it's not threads yet, you could use the flax for the schach. However, hushni peshtim, which is somewhere in between those two stages, eini odea man. That halach I don't know. And v'hushni atzmai, I don't even know what they are. Madavshach idak v'loy nafitz. If you've pounded it, it's called hushni. Aval tori v'lodai kutzni korile. If you've done both processing, it's called hutzni. O dilma trei v'lodai nam hushni kor. Maybe even if it has both processing, it's called hushni. So he leaves. That's why he's eni odeya. These are vegetable. These are leafy vegetables. You can use them for schach. Abayam b'shushi mesachkin, b'shvatzri lo mesachkin. Shushi you can use, shvatzri you can't use. Now we don't even know what these things are. My taima, kivan desoirechai ushavik levenafig. If it rots, it gets a bad smell. So he'll leave the sukkah, so therefore you can't use it for schach. Okay, we did a little bit of Yud Gimel. Today was Yud Gimel. And Mario?